let's read this.
I've got the time to show my love what's on.
There's food on my shirt because I have a baby now. Hey you guys, it's Shannon Rose, and in today's video I'm going to be doing, or not doing, but I'm going to be reading a chapter from my book for you guys. This was highly requested. For those of you guys that are new to my channel, I am Shannon Rose. Hello and welcome to the Rose fam. I have written 2 books. This is my second one, and this book is all about my time in porn and escorting, and I just want to say thank you to everyone that's gotten a book. It really helps me be able to continue to make these videos on my YouTube channel, because as you know, I'm sure they get demonetized right away, and so I don't make money from that, and this is my full-time job. So if you guys want to get the book, that's one way of supporting me, and I really appreciate it. And so yeah, it's available in paperback and on Kindle, and I'm working on audiobooks too. So without further ado, let's get into the video. If that seems interesting to you, get the book. I'll leave a link down in the description box below. Also, throughout my whole book I have pictures, tons of pictures in here. This is something that's very personal to me. I never talked about this to anybody, like close friends, family, until this book came out, and then now everybody knows. So it's chapter 11. It's called My Std Nightmare. Once Katie moved out, things started to settle down a bit. Of course, my life can never be boring though, so the second that my life started to feel somewhat normal, something happened that would again change my life forever. A friend of a friend in the porn industry called me to do a boy-girl-girl scene. Normally, all of my scenes are booked through my agent, but sometimes I would do a scene here and there that were booked through my agency. I wasn't technically supposed to be doing that for many reasons, but what's the fun if you don't break the rules once in a while? So I decided I was going to go to this scene that my agent didn't know about, but again, everyone has to be tested, so it wasn't anything I was too concerned about. I showed up to the set and I saw a new girl that I've never worked with before. Something about the whole environment rubbed me the wrong way. I ignored my gut instincts that day. Everything seemed a little bit off, but I kind of just went with it. We started rolling and I noticed there was a super raunchy smell coming from this chick's vagina. I have smelled some raunchy vaginas. Vaginas with bacterial infections, vaginas that haven't been washed before a scene, and vaginas after they had worked out. Basically, I've smelled a lot of vaginas. There was something about this one that smelled rank. I couldn't do it. I was about to vomit. I thought, oh my god, this is the worst smell I've ever smelled in my life. When you do a boy-girl-girl scene, I can only imagine what my neighbors right now are thinking, by the way, if they can hear me. The guy has sex with the other girl, and then you his wiener. He puts it inside of you, and so forth. Well, he didn't even, I don't know why I decided to do this outside. We live by the beach, so the houses are like literally right next to each other, and everyone's windows are open. Well, he didn't even get to get his anywhere near me, because as soon as they started having sex, I could smell it. This chick's vagina smelled like death. I was convinced something died inside of her. During the scene, when he took his out and put it in my face, to put it in my mouth, I just couldn't do it. I had to stop the scene because the smell was so bad, and even the guy was like, oh my god. We kept looking back and forth at each other like, this is not good, this chick needs to douche. He was getting ready to throw up, and so was I. I had to call cut, and I asked the girl to come with me to the bathroom because I didn't want to embarrass her in front of everyone. Even though I knew everybody on set could smell her because it was that bad, I'm pretty sure everybody in the room wanted to throw up. I don't know how she didn't smell it, or if she just didn't care. I feel like anybody who has a vagina that smelly must give zero f**ks about life. I took her in the bathroom and I discreetly asked her if she wouldn't mind douching because it smells down there. She was like, oh really? I'm sorry. She acted like she couldn't smell anything and almost gave me a look like I was acting high maintenance for asking her to douche. She ended up douching and we went back to doing the scene. She still smelled terrible, but it was a little more tolerable. It was by far one of the worst scenes I'd ever done because of how bad this girl smelled. A few days later, I started having stomach pains, and I wasn't really sure what it was. I thought maybe I was really constipated, or maybe I just had a cyst rupturing, an ovarian cyst, which I had before, but it was a different pain than that. I wasn't sure what was wrong with me, but I knew I was in a lot of pain. I had canceled all my scenes that week because I wasn't feeling good. My boyfriend Dustin was on deployment, so he was going to be gone for a while, and I was alone. A few days later, the guy from that scene called me and said he tested positive for gonorrhea, and that I should probably go get tested just in case. He also said to notify anyone I had worked with after him, but thankfully I hadn't worked at all because I wasn't feeling well. If a performer ever tests positive for chlamydia or gonorrhea, they are quarantined and given a shot. Once they have the shot, they wait over an incubation period and then test again, and if the test is clean, they can work again. AIM, the Adult Industry Medical, foundation is also supposed to contact anyone that has worked with those performers for them to go in and test to make sure they are clean. The last shoot I did was with the smelly vag girl and this guy. Everyone's test was clean at that scene and at all my scenes. I was always so careful to check and make sure that everyone's test was up to date. I would double check with picture ID. I definitely didn't think smelly vag girl had anything. I just assumed it was a really bad bacterial infection. I figured the guy must have gotten it somewhere else, but to be on the safe side, I went and got tested earlier. My test came back the next day and it was negative, thank God. Days and days had gone by and my stomach pain was getting worse and worse, so I ended up going to the doctor because it was so bad. I had to cancel another week of work. Something was not right. The doctor said I was fine and that I most likely was constipated. I knew something was wrong, so I decided to make an appointment with an OBGYN to get a second opinion because my stomach hurt so badly. The OBGYN did a bunch of swabs and tests and everything came back fine. I was frustrated because I didn't know what was wrong with me, and nor did the doctors. A month or two went by and this pain was getting worse and worse. I was so sick I could barely get out of bed and I could barely walk. I couldn't even eat. I was in so much pain. I didn't know what to do. I had gone to 2 different doctors and I had been tested and everything looked fine. I decided to call back my OBGYN and let them know that something was wrong, that I was unable to walk because of the amount of pain I was in. I asked if they could please check me again. They got me in the same day, and as soon as the doctor swabbed me and took my vitals, he asked his nurse to call an ambulance for me. He said they were going to send me to the emergency room. The doctor looked concerned and said I had a really bad infection. I started freaking out. I had a really high fever, I could barely walk, and I knew I was sick, but I didn't realize how bad it was. I went to stand up to try to walk to the gurney for the ambulance from the doctor's chair, and I almost passed out. The nurse ripped off some smelling salts off the wall and put them under my nose, and it woke me back up pretty quick. The ambulance took me from my OBGYN's office to the emergency room to have me admitted and treat the infection. I guess I was close to dying. I got to the emergency room and I was all by myself. I was freaking out because I still did not know what the hell was wrong with me other than I had an infection. I didn't talk to my mom that much around that time. My mom knew I wasn't feeling good and having stomach pains, but she didn't know it was this bad. There I was, alone in the emergency room with my legs spread open as this ER doctor swabs my vagina. He pulled out the swab and showed it to me, and it was so gross. It looked like snot on an oversized Q-tip. He said, "This is the worst case of gonorrhea I have ever seen." I said, "What? I don't have gonorrhea. I get tested every month for it. I do porn. My test came back out clean." He said, "Well, they must have missed it because I don't need to test you to know that this is gonorrhea." He told me I was really sick and that I was going to have to stay in the hospital on IV antibiotics for the next few weeks. I was mortified. I was too ashamed to tell any of my friends or family, so I stayed by myself in the hospital for weeks without anyone knowing. The staff there treated me horribly because of why I was there. I felt like a caged zoo animal. I heard the nurses whispering in the hall in front of my room and peeking in to see the porn star who almost died from a horrible case of gonorrhea. I soon found out where I had contracted the gonorrhea from, and it wasn't the guy who called me telling me he had it. Remember Smelly Vag Girl? She didn't have a bacterial infection. She had gonorrhea. Somehow, she faked a clean test so she could shoot. I remember the doctor telling me that it was a possibility that I could have some fertility issues from this. At the time, that was the last thing I was thinking about, so I just wrote it off. I just didn't want to die. I was really sick, and if they didn't treat me, I could have died. It had been left untreated for months. Even after going to multiple doctors, no one could figure it out until it wrecked my insides. Once I was all better and out of the hospital, I was ready to get my life back on track. I hadn't worked in forever, so I was trying to get my check from my last shoot because I still hadn't been paid. The whole thing was a really shady ordeal. I never ended up getting paid from that scene, and I got gonorrhea. Those are some of the reasons why you're supposed to book things through your agent and not on your own, so that you don't get screwed over like that. I realized that when I was tested, it was only a few days after that shoot, and the STD wasn't in my system long enough for it to register on my test. I haven't told very many people about getting really sick with gonorrhea because I was so ashamed about it. In an earlier video when I first started YouTube, I talked about porn and I said that I had never gotten an STD because I was really ashamed of it. No one wants to admit that they got an STD. I hope that instead of judging me for getting an STD, that you can learn from my story. I thought it was important to share it with you because I don't want you to make the same mistakes I did. That is one of the chapters in my book. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know if you want me to read any more chapters from my book, and let me know a comment down below what kind of videos you guys want to see next. Thank you guys again so much for watching and supporting me. Again, a majority of my videos, because of the content that I post, are demonetized on my channel. So by getting my book, that's you guys' way of supporting me and making it so I can continue to make these videos for you guys. So thank you again. I almost forgot to include that I have been on my social media, so mainly on Instagram and Snapchat. If you're not following me, make sure you follow me. It's just at channonrose, my name. But I have been giving away copies, signed copies of my book. I've been doing little treasure hunts for you guys on my Instagram, and I will sign copies and hide them in certain places, and then I tell you guys about them on my Instagram. So when I'm traveling, I like to try to put a different book in a bunch of different places and cities and states I've traveled in. So make sure to follow me on my socials so that if you're ever in that city that I'm hiding a book, you guys might be able to find it. I appreciate all your love and support. I'm sending you all my love and all my positive energy, and I will see you in my next video. Mwah! If you haven't gone, you should get it. Okay.